Hey, Neek, you know what Michael Thompson once said about this dude but underneath me?
What's that?
He said, whenever Xavier McDaniel plays against Orlando Woolridge, it's a coach's dream. X's versus O's.
Oh, yes.
What's up, y'all? It is April 23rd, 2024. Let's get into this day in NBA history. This day in NBA history, April 23rd, 1993. Xavier McDaniel explodes in a 107-99 victory over the Cavs. He scored 8 points on only 10 shot attempts, while he shot 30% from the field. He also threw in 4 turnovers in an impressive 29 minutes. He was very consistent defensively with 0 blocks and kept it consistent with 0 steals. Capped it off with a 0.7 game score. X, tell me about your mindset when you went into that game and just torched the Cavs like you did.
Which game was that? I'm what, 93?
93, the end of 1993. Boston. You played Boston. second to last game of the season.
Man, I have no idea what happened in that game. That was I don't know. How many minutes did I play?
29 minutes.
Okay.
3 for 10 from the field, 8 points, 30%, 4 turnovers, 8 points.
Damn.
In the 107-99. Hey, you know what? You guys were +8 and you had 8.
Yeah, well, hey, but I guess that's a good thing. A lot of people got some money on that day, though. But I don't know what happened on that day. What was that at, in Boston or Richfield?
No, it was in Richfield.
Richfield?
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to have some pretty good games against the Cavs.
You did, but if you had a lot of pretty good, ones, you were due for a bad one.
Ride from downtown Cleveland to Richfield used to take about a damn hour to get there. Maybe I'm still sleeping that game. I don't know.
Threw it off, but hey, that was this day in NBA history. What's up, y'all? We are the HoopStorians. I am Tony Styles. That's my main man, Unique. Up top, we got our main man, Sports Fluent, and we have a very special guest, Xavier McDaniel, also known as the XMen. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just chilling. I was trying to watch that game that you guys are kind of talking about a little bit. That Phoenix and Minnesota game looked like Minnesota. I hadn't been over there in the last 10 minutes, but it looked like Minnesota going to win it.
Yeah, they're pulling away. They're pulling away. So, I'm a big Suns fan. Yeah, it's 5 minutes, and it's really the momentum too. The Suns were up by 3. They went on like a 31-13 run. Right. It's just it's not good for the Suns. What's your assessment of the series? You think the Suns got any chance?
It's just so difficult to win on the road. You got to be playing very, very well, because when you got a good team like Minnesota this year, they're a good team. And once they get on that roll, you see how kind of like New York last night got on that roll and kind of they got on the roll, then they let Philly back into the game, and then they won it in the last 47 seconds, I think, or 27 seconds, one of them, and won the game last night. And look at the game with I went to sleep because I thought the Lakers were going to win, and they wind up losing. So when you're up on teams on the road, man, you really have to be really careful about how you putting them away. You can never relax, because for some odd reason, you look at baseball, you look at football, you look at hockey, you look at basketball, good teams win 8 out of 10 times. When you go into the Lakers, they're not going to have but 2, 3, maybe 4 losses. Same with Boston Celtics in the 80s and 90s. Chicago, you go into Chicago Stadium and them damn on Madison Avenue, they get to yelling, you can't hear crap. So when you get those type of teams, man, in that type of atmosphere, you got to really, really be tunnel in and staying focused throughout that game, because one turnover, like the turnover they had 10 minutes ago, KD threw the ball to Beal and he was off balancing the ball. Just can't have that. I think it was a 6-point game at that time. I think it was. So you just can't have that.
No, well, the Suns have looked stagnant offensively. I did a whole numbers breakdown. Part of their problem was they were designed to be just this explosive offense, and they're really just a middle of the pack offense. And they sacrificed anything that they had defensively to become an explosive offense, and that doesn't really work when you're not that good defensively and you're middle of pack offense when you're designed to be one of the best offensive in the league.
Yeah. And you got Anthony was picking everybody up full court. I'm not sure who was there. I'm not sure if that was Jimmy Jack doing the commentate, but if a guy pressure me like that, I'm just giving the ball up to somebody else and let him take it, because he was really pressuring Bradley Beal when he's bringing the ball up. Why even put yourself through that pressure? This is not college now where you give it to the point guard and the point guard has to be able to get it up court. You just give it to another ball handler.
No, I agree with that. So, Chill, you got any questions for the X-Man?
I'm just, this is a treat for me, X. I'm a big fan. X is, I don't know if you guys know this, but X is one of 3 guys that I remember that led the country in scoring and rebounding when he was in college.
Right.
Not a lot of guys can say that. So
right.
My question to you, X, is why Wichita State? Why not the University of Kansas?
Kansas didn't recruit me. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
My recruitment kind of went. I got a lot of schools offer Big East, some ACC schools, SEC schools. But when they come look at your transcript, and your transcript got a lot of
C's and D's and all that.
classes, cooking classes, and sewing classes, that's just not going to work. I'm just going to keep it honest and real. To be honest, I didn't think that I would go to college. And the type of environment that I grew up in a real tough section of Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes.
And there have been a lot of great athletes on that side of town. Mm-hmm. And I just remember a lot of them saying, you're probably going to end up where we at. And there was no real big incentive to say, hey, I want to go to college and I want to do this. I started to take school seriously my junior and senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. Now, to say I've always been a good student, I just, by 7th grade, 8th grade, I started screwing around and messing around. And like I said, I actually was taking classes like home economic. I like to eat. And so
those are good life skills, X. Those are
you
good.
know what the girls were.
There you go. We really get to that. All the girls was in it. But I mean, I had a high school coach, man, Coach Carl Williams. He's passed away a couple of years ago now. And he just pulled me to the side. And he had coached a lot of the people from the area that I grew up in. And he would just always tell me that it's more to the world than the section that I grew up, which was, we call it Edisto Court. And it's on the southeast side of Columbia, South Carolina. I mean, in Columbia. And so it just wasn't no real big deal. But I got my stuff together. I got my grades up. Mm-hmm. I never had like all F's, but I did have a lot of D's. I just always did enough to get by. And that was it. Sure. And so when I realized there was an opportunity to go to college, I started doing the extra work. I had a teacher, Miss Adams, who really tutored me and worked with me through high school. And you know, I was able to, but I had my schools came down to the University of Mississippi, University of South Carolina, Clemson University, and Wichita State, and Memphis State. Those were my 5 schools that I wanted to go to. Mm-hmm. And Mississippi, I'm going to be very honest. Me and Tyrone Corbin went on that trip, and I did not really like it.
You can understand why.
I went to Oxford, and I was like, I looked over at Tom and said, damn, well, I found someplace worse than South Carolina, man, Columbia. And I mean, these guys really wanted me. Mm-hmm. They really wanted me, man. And I just wasn't feeling it. You know,
Yeah.
you're still in that early 80s and a lot of racial tensions going on. I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
Clemson, if you're in South Carolina, you're a Clemson or South Carolina. Most of the people, you talk to people, walk down the street, South Carolina, Clemson.
Right.
Bump North Carolina State, Wake Forest. In South Carolina, you're one of the two. And I was a South Carolina guy. I'm just going to be honest. I grew up, literally, I can walk to where the athletes stay about a half a mile from my house.
Who was the head coach at South Carolina at that
Bill
time?
Foster
Okay.
was the coach. He came from Duke. And actually it was two Bill Foster. Clemson coach was Bill Foster too at the time. And so I would go up to their to the athletic dormitory, hang out with some of the guys, play with them, real cool with them. And me and one of my good friends, he's passed away. We grew up together playing ball together. His father, my father were friends, Harry Martin. We made a pact that we're going to announce together where we're going to go. So we're getting ready to play. I think it was the playoffs. It was right before the playoffs. We were playing Strong Thurman High School in Edgefield, South Carolina, where my mother's from. And we had two newspapers, the Columbia Record and the state newspaper. And usually the Columbia Record was the evening paper, and I usually have that. I have that reading when we'll be on the road, like going to like maybe Aiken, South Carolina, play down.
Yeah.
Edgefield is like about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Columbia. And so I'm reading it, and I see this guy named Osh. I'm like, yo, he's signing with South Carolina. I had just talked to him the night before. He was like, we were going to announce together. And I'm looking, and Harold Martin just committed to South Carolina. So I get home that night. I'm on the phone. It's like 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, yo, man, I know, man. I went over here and announced, blase. Well, then he was like, what you going to do? I said, man, I don't know, man. I got to wait on these grades to get in. Once the grades get in, when we going to do this? And then all of a sudden, I get this call from Memphis State. And Dana Kurt, and I'm trying to think of what was the coach after Dana. He played for Memphis State with Larry Keenan. What's his name? Coach Finch. That was after Dana left, Coach Finch became the coach.
Mm-hmm. Bill Fitch?
Larry
Bill Fitch?
Oh, was it Larry Finch? It was Finch or something, but whatever the coach was, he brought me into town. I went back. They had a concert. I remember the Mid Coliseum. I'm all back there with the artists. I'm just hanging out with Lakeside. Everybody. I'm just hanging out.
Wow.
And they had a old PE center, and we just went in there and balled out. It was against NCAA rules at that time. Mm-hmm. I can say this now. That was 40 years ago, 40-something years ago, and we just ball out, man. And they really wanted me, but for some odd reason, Dana Kirk, like, well, everything we hearing is you going to South Carolina, you going to South Carolina. And I was like, well, there's a possibility. I'm from there. The campus is less than 2 miles from my house. I can get to their ticket office in like a half a mile. So,
wow, that's what he did.
It was a possibility. And he was just so annoying that I decided that when I got back, I was like, Coach, I had a great time. I played ball. He was like, oh, don't tell nobody that. That'll make you ineligible. And I was like, all right. And then Wichita State comes in. Now, Wichita comes in, my mother friend, Coach Goodwin, who was a football coach with Coach Willie Jeffries, I guess he had done talked to them about me, but Jeff Jones already knew about me because he was recruiting James Hillebrand, who went to Wisconsin, who played with me in high school. And he called him and said, hey, man, I think you better go back down to Columbia. That kid you said you liked, he's almost 6'8" now. I was about 6'4" at the time. So Jeff Jones came in. I went on a trip to Wichita State, and the first night I met with Coach Goodwin and his family, had dinner with them because his kids and me, we went to school together. He got the job at South Carolina State, and they moved from Columbia to Orangeburg, South Carolina, which is about an hour east of Columbia. And then they got the job and they moved to Wichita State. So his daughter and his son, Diane and Sam, we all went to elementary together. So had dinner with them that night. So Cliff Livingston come pick me up. We're hanging out in the dorm. They're like, "Hey man, you want to go out of town?" I said, "Hey man, I'm on your watch."
Mm-hmm.
We go up to Kansas. We hung out with Darnell Valentine, Booty Neal, and all those guys. Come back to Wichita that night. Met with Coach Smithson. And the only thing he kept doing, he put a tape on and said, "You like to dribble?" I said, "Yeah, but Coach won't let me dribble." He said, "You like to dunk the ball?" Now he's showing Antoine Carr and Cliff Duncan. I said, "Yeah, I love dunking on people." And everything he was showing me, he said, "Well, we trap. This is what we do." And I got to thinking. And then, I got home. I sit down with my parents.
Work for your game. It does.
And my mom and dad was like, Coach is out there. Coach Goodwin is out there. They were classmates in high school at the time, back in the day. And I know the whole family. Our families are very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
When I say close, they're very close. His nephew Chris is one of my best friends. And so we as a family got together with my grandmother, and we just like, Kansas, let's go off to Kansas. And at that time, it was a good opportunity for me to go off to Kansas because, like I said, I grew up so damn close to the University of South Carolina, the projects, and I lived in the hood. I mean, literally, the projects was like across the street from the ticket office. You cut across the football field and the baseball field, then you got the athletic dormitories.
Was it literally right there? So it was literally just right there, is what you're saying.
Right. And my parents felt like if I go to South Carolina, it would almost be like living at home.
Right.
And anybody who know me in South Carolina know that sometimes I could be a little shit. And I had a lot of issues, coming up, fighting and getting in some trouble. And my parents felt like in order for me to grow, they felt like I really needed to leave home.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I left. I tell everybody, I love the university. I watch all their football games. I don't miss not one football game. Basketball program, I can't say a lot, but I don't miss hardly any of Don games. I watch the girl, And then there was some other things too that also like my father losing his job because I didn't go to South Carolina. Some other things too, but I felt like Wichita was the place for me, and it helped me to grow. It helped me to become a man that I am today.
Sure.
Because I had to learn to survive. Mm-hmm. With NCAA rules, you couldn't work, and you had to learn how to manage stuff and stuff. So I couldn't call mama and come home. The bus ride is a day and a half. I took a bus out to Wichita State because the University of South Carolina kept saying, "How are you going to get there?" My grandmother bought me a bus ticket, and my high school coach bought me a bus ticket just in case I didn't like it and I wanted to come home. And I went to Wichita State with a 12-pack of sodas, about 14 sandwiches my mom made me, and one suitcase.
Hey, how long does 14 sandwiches last a 6'7" college kid?
2 days.
On a bus for a day and a half, too, by the way, X.
It would last you the bus. It would last you the bus.
It's a day and a half. It's 36 hours
on a bus.
On Greyhound bus station.
Right.
It didn't last long. I just know I knew when I got to Wichita, I also had my grandmother. She gave me a Bible, and she also gave me I think I had $30 or $36. That's all. By the time I got to Wichita, I literally had maybe about $5 to my name, and that was it. And so that was my journey from Columbia to Wichita, and I just said I got to make this shit work.
Yeah,
and I came in.
I think you just answered my question though, because I was going to ask you, like, when you get into the league, right, in Seattle, you're an offensive player. You can score.
Yeah.
And then there's an injury, and we see this other side of you. But I think you just answered all the toughness, all that was already there, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way you were, where you grew up, right?
Well, most of the people in my neighborhood, people sit here, and most of the people in my neighborhood didn't have hot water. We all boiled water. We didn't get a hot water heater until I was going into the 9th grade. So every night that we had to take a bath, you put the water on the stove and you boil it. You pour the hot water in first, and then you cut the cold water on to get it to your light.
Yeah, to mix it in.
You know, my grandmother didn't even have a bathroom; she had an outhouse in Sumter, South Carolina. So that was my father's mom. My grandmother in Columbia, she had a bathroom, but I mean, most of the people in my neighborhood, fathers, didn't even live with them. I was one of the few people that had a father that lived in the house.
Yeah.
So the type of environment that we grew up in was tough, and you literally had to be tough. And so, and then playing ball, today we call it King Park, but when I was growing up, we call it Valley Park. Valley Park was right on the northeast side of town in Columbia, on the other side of USC. And that's where everybody in the city, if you could play ball, everybody in the city was there.
This is the park. Of all the parks in the city of Columbia, this is the park that we come into.
This is the park everybody goes to.
Okay.
When I say everybody goes, everybody goes.
All
you
right.
could be in the Lower Richland area where Stanley Robinson from, where I'm from, because Stanley, his people, Dale and Jeff Robbins, they were a little bit east. I'm a little bit southeast. And so everybody, Eau Claire, Columbia High, no matter what side of town you live on, if you wanted to be known in the city, you played in Columbia. I started off at 13 and under, 15 and under, and 18 and under. Everybody did that before AAU. And when I tell you, and I played for Shelley Rockets. We used to call ourselves the Bluff Road Bullets, and then they changed it to Shelley Rocket. He named it out there. Henry Lee named it after his wife. And when we would play Drew Park at, let's say if our game was at 6 o'clock, if you didn't get there by 4 o'clock,
you wasn't getting in.
You didn't get in the park.
You wasn't
they
getting
would
in.
have to literally call the police because they would have you have South Carolina, you have Clemson, you have North Carolina State, you have Wake Forest, you have South Carolina State, you have all these schools. We would have 15 or 20 colleges at that park. And that motherfucker used to be rocking.
And this is what you're talking about, X, when you talk about the toughness, because that sounded to me like the fifth guy who's got next, he already got his 5. So if you lose, you out.
Right. Well, this ain't like losing like pickup. This is actually a summer league game.
Tournament. Okay, so it's actually a tournament.
Game.
Okay. So we talk about
it's a regular summer league game. And every time that we would play with, like I said, they changed it to Shelley Rockets, but we used to call us Bluff Road Bullets.
Right.
And then we would play Drew Park. We were the 2 biggest teams. And when I tell you wall to wall, packed, I don't care, man. You would think this is Game 7 in Chicago Stadium or New York in Madison Square Garden or whatever. We would really, really, some great, great games, man. And it's
X, X, you talk about that toughness because I went to school with your cousin, Marcus Saxon. He and I both went to.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He and I both went to Utah State. So I went to school
Right.
with your cousin. So I can appreciate that toughness. So
Right.
when we talk about that toughness, how was the transition from going from college to now moving to the Pacific Northwest where you don't know anybody?
It was tough again, but you put your big boy drawers on, and you gotta figure it out. You gotta figure it out. I mean, I had some people that tried me.
I'm sure.
And
like Dale Ellis?
Huh?
Like Dale Ellis?
Yeah, well, Dale's my friend, man. We you know, I tell people all the time, man, Gary Payton, Nate McMillan, they tried to squash this thing a long time ago with me and Dale. And me being the person I am, and I wasn't hearing for it. They had set up. I didn't even know Dale was going to be there. We just happened to be in the hotel at the same time. They called me. I come down. They were just trying to get it because me and Dale we are really, really good friends. I mean, we made up years ago. A lot of people don't realize that, but we made up years ago. But when I got traded to Phoenix and stuff, and the Seattle Supersonics was in Denver, we were all in the same hotel. I wasn't really trying to feel that because that was only a few months ago. But we made up years ago, man. But yeah, I mean, you know, brothers fight. Brothers fight.
That's part of it. That's part of it, sure.
Me and Jay fight all the time.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know, me and Neek have literally punched each other in the face before.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well, that's all right. But see, look where y'all at today. And like I said, I just talked with Dale 2 days ago. And so what hurt me was like, I kind of looked at Dale like he was my brother. And for us to go through that, I just felt betrayed a little bit and stuff. So, and he knows how I feel about it because when he got to town, his stuff didn't come. Shit, let's go to the garage and let's get a car. Which car you want? Just take one. I don't give a fuck which one you take. Just take one. You know, that's who I was back then. You know, I still had that rough edge, but I tell people I felt like I was a good teammate because you got in a fight with your brother don't mean you ain't a good teammate. You know, I didn't let nobody mess with Nate McMillan. I didn't let nobody mess with Gary, Sean. I didn't let nobody mess with none of them. And I used to be like, even Derek McKee. I remember guys hit him, and I talked about on the Rick Mahorn show. I said, remember y'all hit him? I told Dick call the same play. And I told the official, hey, you're going to have to kick me out tonight because I'm going to beat somebody's ass tonight. And Derek McKee went right down the middle of the lane and laid it up. And so
do you feel they're missing that from today's NBA?
Huh?
Do you feel that's missing from today's NBA?
No, because I don't never want to play that way, but that's the way the culture was back then. You know? Well, I can't always say that because all the damn fights I got into in college and high school.
But X, that was part of it, though. X, I mean, like we don't want to misconstrue that because again, from where you from and the kind of neighborhood you from and the way you was growing up, even though it was basketball, you still had to protect yours because people were going to push you around. But you had to prove that you were tough.
Yeah,
so that's part of it.
What I didn't like about the NBA is that if you didn't fight, they will allow someone to continue to do something. And my teammate Reggie King, for the short time he was there, like he was holding me, and then Bernie's getting on me, and Bernie Bickerstaff is going off on me, and I'm looking like, Bernie, you see this motherfucker holding me, man? I can't. He was like, get open, Rook. So it's like you get tested. And so now I'm at the point now with Reggie, I get in a fight with him, and I'm like, and I was telling another podcast, I would remember Magic Johnson saying, ain't none of y'all gonna punk me. Because if you call Aaron Wood right now, in that day in that practice, that's what I was saying. Ain't none of you guys gonna punk me. Now, I don't care what people say, I ain't no punk. I'd rather die than being a punk. And I had said it, who I was going to be that second day of practice. It was like the second day of practice, I think it was. And so at that time, I'm 205 pounds. I run with the guards, and I'm quick. And I know he was an older player. And, you know, when I got older, shit, I was doing the same thing. But I knew how to back off with guys and stuff. So for me myself, I knew I had to stand up and say, ain't none of you motherfuckers going to punk me.
I'm glad you brought that up, X, because I wanted to ask you, because you just brought up a really interesting point. When did you realize when you got there, I can play in this league and I'm going to be good?
I don't know when I just like, can I play? I just knew that from the age of 18 to 19 years old, I was competing with this guy named Alex Zinga every night. Every day at the University of South Carolina Pease Center, the Solomon Block Center, I was going up against Alex Zinga since I was 18 years old.
Right.
That dude ain't bad. He dropped 25,000 in the NBA.
Yeah, he could play.
Yeah, he was okay.
All-time leading scorer at one point.
He could play a little bit.
Hey, we had one guy on the show saying he was better than Jordan.
Who's that?
Who's that?
The
Universe Galaxy guy that said Jordan wasn't top 100.
Stop.
Anyway, X, as you were saying.
Yeah. But anyway, so playing against Alex, and then I had an opportunity to play against Magic and Isaiah, and then I was also me and Charles, and then going into the Pan Am trials at 29. I was 19 when I went to the Pan Am. I hadn't turned 20 because I think it was like April or May we went. I turned 20 in June. And so I'm playing against Patrick Ewing. I'm playing against Sam Perkins, Charles Barkley, all the guys that was on that team. And that's when I kind of realized that. And then, you know, playing with Cliff Levingston and Antoine Carr, Tony Martin, Arby Sherrod, Greg Dryland. We had a hell of a team. And so I started realizing at an early age that I could really, really play and that I just need to keep developing. And so one of my famous stories was where I got the bad name at in college basketball was from Bobby Knight and Norm Stewart. They announced the Pan American 12 that was going to be, and they pulled me to the side and told me I was an alternate. And I looked at them and said, I outplayed every one of these motherfuckers. And I said it just like this. I outplayed all these motherfuckers. And now y'all gonna tell me I'm a fucking alternate. I said, fuck that. So when I said what I said, they gave me a bad name. And when they gave me the bad name, I didn't even get invited to the Olympic trials. But if it's fair, then if I outplayed certain people, why wasn't I on that team? That's what has happened to American basketball. We choose who we think we want or what school somebody go to back then. And then now we talk about how the foreign players have become better players because we've always politicked.
So the fact that you went to Wichita State, it might have looked a little bit different because somebody ended up going to Kansas or somebody went to the University of Washington. They ended up going to North Carolina, as opposed to even though they went to North Carolina State or even though they went to St. John's, you kicked his ass.
Right. And
you're not on the crew because you went to Wichita State and
because I didn't agree with the team. I didn't agree with the team. But then again, when I look back on it, in high school, the same guy we talked about, Harry Martin, he was South Carolina Columbia Player of the Year. And everybody in the city know I should have won that Player of the Year. So it wasn't nothing new to me that I would get overlooked.
Right.
Because everybody would tell you, even though they beat us twice, but me and his head-to-head matchup, there was no comparison. Because when Lower Richland and AC Floyd get together, I tell people it used to be fucking packed house in Columbia. And I'm not gonna lie, Harry could play high school ball. He was a hell of a player. You know, we had a hell of a shootout at Lower Richland. He had 38, I had 36. He had 18 at our place, I had 30. I didn't even score with 2 points in the fourth quarter. You know, and that's when me and the coach got together and was like, look, that was the most selfish. And he's always getting on my ass about shooting too much. But that particular day, I was like on fire. I wasn't missing shit. I think I might have missed 1 or 2 shots the whole game.
Keep shooting.
And so he normally get on my ass about shooting too much. And so that game, we felt like certain players were freezing me out. And that's when I was like, Coach, man, the season going downhill. We going downhill. I said, we got to go get Alan Green. And Alan Green was our point guard. He didn't play the year before, so he didn't come out. So we had Johnny Hampton and Kenny Saxon in the lineup. And both of them were shooting guards. And we had Tyrone at the point. And we just wasn't winning. I think we was like 2-4. But I caught the bus home, met Coach Williams because he also worked at the community center in the projects. We walked up to Allen's house, and his mama told him to get his butt on the basketball court. We never missed a beat. Now he was able to get the ball to everybody. My scoring average came down, but our win total went up. And so, and we wound up winning the state championship that year.
Nice.
X, I got a question for you.
Go ahead, Tom.
This is what I want to know. So, like, you know, since you dabbled, because it was talking about, like, you know, your upbringing, your struggles, you know, things like that. Obviously, you know, you dabbled a little on the Hollywood side. I want to know a couple things. One, how come you never got anything going with the XMen? Because I always thought, like, this dude is tailor-made, especially with your stare. You know, when you drop your head and all you see is your eye, it looks like a predator. Second scariest stare I've ever seen behind Mike Tyson. So I always wondered why you didn't do that. And then did you ever watch like the cartoon or anything in the 90s?
Man, I love the X-Men. They got the new 97 series out right now, man.
Hey, well,
episode.
Yeah.
Well, X, I just want to let you know something. I just want to let you know something, X. I know. Well, I just want to let you know something, X. We came up with a little edit for you. We wanted you to check it out.
All right.
X, Xavier McDaniel. X-Men.
That's my show.
Mm-hmm.
That's my show, man.
Hey, one of the questions I've always had.
That's my show.
I got you.
But
Well,
you
now
know
you
what?
have the edit for it.
Your show.
I've never done anything with him, but when Stan Lee was alive, if you ever noticed that I can use the X-Men, they allowed me to use the name, the X-Men, because I tried to copyright it with David Falk. We found out that the Stan Lee and Marvel Comics had the trademark to it.
Mm-hmm.
They told me as long as I do it, I can always do it. And
That's cool.
You know,
That's awesome.
and I've been called the X-Man since I was 17 years old.
That's what we know you as.
Yeah. So in high school, the papers had the X-Man did it again.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, everybody just started calling me X-Man. So that has stuck since I was 17 years old. So, you know, like a lot of people like got to go get like they have to call people in order if they want to use their stuff, you know, like with music or they trademark. Like me, like I don't have to do that. I could do a poster with X-Men. They already cleared it that I could do it.
Right.
But I try to do it with the shoes and Spot Belt at the time. Try to go in the back and say, well, we want to do 25 years. So Marvel Comics said, well, you're going to give Xavier a 25-year contract? And then when the answer came out no, then they kind of like screwed the deal up because the shoes was actually supposed to be XMen, but we wound up changing to Express because they tried to do some backdoor stuff where they were trying to get the copyright for them to be able to use it
the name for 25 years, even though if they only had you for 5, they get the name for 25.
Right.
Yeah.
And they couldn't work it out. And so, but, you know, they said I could always use it. And that's why we were able to use it with Katako's brothers, the X-Men. The NBA did it where I was dunking backwards on the poster. So I've never had an issue with it. And I know Stan Lee's they've always said if I want to use it, I could use it.
I got another question.
Go ahead,
I was going to say 2 more questions about your Hollywood career. One, have you ever had people shout at you, Steve, come for me? Did you ever have that get shouted at you? I figured you would because that's the only reason why. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was a kid when it came out. The only reason why I watched the movie is because I heard you were in it, and I was such a huge basketball fan. You know what I mean? It's the only part I liked or whatever. Right. And then 2, how many takes did it take you to throw Al Bundy across the court?
Okay, first one with that one, a lot of people do come up to me and say the best part of the whole show is when I say, Steve, don't come yet.
Hey, yeah. There it was.
The late Wayne Cody on that particular take, nobody won't believe us, but it took me 1 take to do it.
X only took 1 time, that's it?
1 time, and I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to explain to you what happened.
I'm listening.
I was reading it, me and Wayne Cody was going over it. I said, hey, this is not how we do an interview. I said, y'all doing it wrong. He needs to ask the question. And they was trying to do it where it's stripped, where we just, I said, no, he needs to do it, and then I do it. And so what he did was he asked me the question, and then I just started talking. The only thing they needed to do was say, Steve, don't come yet. Right. And it was, I swear it was 1 take. That's and crazy. They was like, we fucking got it. And so I was like, you sure? I said, because I don't know, we're coming back to town now again, because I actually, when I signed the contract, I was with Seattle. When I did it, I was with Phoenix. So I actually did 1 take on that.
And hey, wait. And then when the movie came out, you were with New York.
Actually, I was with Boston.
Oh, Boston. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. It came out at the end.
I wouldn't watch it at the movie theater in Boston. I was with Boston, 92, 93. It came out in 92, late 92. Right. And that scene, what they do is they do the scene and then you do it like 3 or 4 different times and then take the best one. The first one I messed up on, and when I messed up because Peg, she had a breast and my face, and I was trying to not look, and I just messed the lines up. So we redid it. I was like, all right, boy, you got to concentrate. You can't be looking at them breasts like that. So
that defeats the whole purpose of being on the show, though.
Focus, X. Come on, man.
So the second time we did it, boom, no problem.
Okay.
Did it the 3rd time, no problem. 4th time. And then we had to do it live, not really live.
In front of the studio audience.
They did it where we were actually like, it's live because you got each take that we had people in the stands. But we did it like it was going to be like a live shot. Like this is like it. And then they just take those 5. So after the first one, we did like 4 or 5 straight one where I didn't mess up. And so that night before, I was going over my lines. I already had been going on the week before, so I kind of knew all my lines already. So it took about 5 times to do that.
So
hold on, we do have a question from one of our viewers. Nick Tri-State wants to know, X, LeBron or Kobe?
As far as what, playing with?
Yes. I'm assuming he's saying who's
better in your opinion.
Who's better?
Yeah.
I think that you gotta understand that they're 2 different players. I hate really trying to compare players because I'm surprised they came up with Michael Jordan and LeBron. I just think they're both great players. Now, who would I want? I'm kind of like Oak on this one. give me LeBron because he gonna throw me the ball. You know, Kobe may not throw me the ball. So I need people who gonna throw me the ball. You know what I'm saying? So I'm probably gonna go with LeBron, but I am a Kobe fan too. I think Kobe's been a fantastic player. I know his dad, and I got to know Jelly Bean a lot more when we were doing slam ball together. And some X, he's gonna do some big things, and he did do it. And LeBron has been LeBron, 21 years. He can't even retire because no American player won't stand up. My homeboys, Jay Morant won't stay out of trouble. Zion can't stay healthy.
Bridge. Oh, sorry.
So it's a lot of situations why LeBron got to stay.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully some of these young guys, you know, Tatum look like he's trying to be that type of guy, you know, but I love both players, man. And it's so sad that, you know, Kobe's not around anymore, but I like both players.
X, it's interesting you brought up. Go ahead, Tom.
Philosophy. No, I was just saying I like your philosophy because Jay will tell you I never saw a shot I didn't like, so I'm not passing you the ball, but I love someone who will pass me the ball.
X, I'm telling you right now, you'll fight this dude.
Right.
This one right here, X, you're gonna fight him. With the ball sticks to his hands like glue. He does not pass. You will fight. You'll want to fight this dude.
Ask Marcus what we would have did. We used to play at the Y, and he want to shoot every time. Guess what we would do? Don't throw, and we be saying it out loud. Don't throw that shit to him.
No, he ain't getting the ball.
You gonna learn. But I ain't mad at him because I ain't even gonna lie. I used to be like that too one time.
It's interesting. It's interesting too. X, you brought up staying because there's a conspiracy theory that I just want to put to bed, and I'm tired of listening to it. Did they run you out of New York?
No. The story that you heard is the God's honest truth. I waited. The NBA has always been this way. July 1, you sign your players. And we did have an agreement that I will wait till they sign a couple players and they're going to sign them. But they never brought nothing to the table. And that's what I kept saying. Well, what are you going to offer me? At least let me agree to that, then we can sign later. And I'm being honest. A reporter came to me. He called me. And he said, you know they're going to screw you. I said, what do you mean? He said, he just had James Worthy in town. So I went and started doing some things and said, oh, shit, they did have him in town. I called.
Just the Knicks, by the way. The Knicks had brought James Worthy in town.
James Worthy in, right.
Okay. Wow.
And so I was like, oh, shit, they did. I didn't have a problem with that. But I had a problem is that they have never put nothing on the table. It's September. You got July and August. It's September. I didn't sign with the Celtics until like after Labor Day.
Training camp's coming up.
Training camp coming up in like 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
So I'm like, David, what they gonna do? He said, they just keep telling us to wait. What do you want to do? I said, man, I got a call, man. And they told me they're gonna sign somebody, and then what they're gonna do is come to me and say, you take this contract, take it or leave it. And that's what was told to me. So David called some teams, and Boston was the first team. So we went there. I also had a second meeting, not a second meeting, but another meeting with the Bulls. We never made it because I signed with Boston.
Right.
And so
this the same Bulls team, X, that you just went Game 7 with toe-to-toe. The year before, you went toe-to-toe in dog fights.
Yep. If I didn't sign with Boston, that was the next place I was going to go. But it was nothing in concrete yet, though.
Right.
But they were talking. And so my heart really wanted to be in New York. I felt like me and Patrick could work. I felt like we figured some things out. He knew that he can't post up all the time because as much as I shoot jump shots, I'm actually a post player.
Right.
That can shoot jump shots. And I'm not a spot shooter like a Hornacek or a Dan Marley type player. So I called Patrick Ewing and I said, man, Boston just gave me 5 years, $13 million. It's ready on the table. If you tell me not to sign it, I won't sign it. He said, X, if they were going to take care of you, they would have been done that shit. Take care of your family.
That's your
I swear to God, man, on all 5 of my kids' life, man, that I never betrayed the Knicks, and they did that to cover their ass.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when I see Ernie, I see Ernie Garfield, he's like, X. I say, Ernie, man, that shit was 20 years ago, man. I say, the media talks about it. Why are you talking about it? Everybody know y'all fucked me. Y'all threw me under the bus, but that's fine. I live with it. But only thing I was saying was y'all offered Harvey Grant $18 million over 6. I swear to God, only thing I asked was give me 3 years, $9 million. First I asked for $3 million, 10. And then I said 3 years, $9 million.
$9 million, sure.
I just felt like I was a better player than him. I felt like I fit the mold of the Knicks.
Which you were.
You did.
You were a better player than Harvey Grant. Yes, you were.
You know, I felt like the team that he played on. And then I always tell people say X, but he averaged 18 and you averaged 13, 8, 7, something like that. I said, but yeah, he played 35 to 38 minutes and I played 28 minutes.
On a bad team too, by the way.
Look at the shot attempts as well.
Right. And so that's what I would explain to people is that they don't realize before I bought my contract out, I brought my contract out like January the 28th, 1992, I think.
Yeah.
I had the first buyout. Everybody else get out free. I had to pay $500,000. I literally gave them $500,000 to get out my contract. So once I bought it out, you go look the numbers up, I was averaging almost 18 a game. Mm-hmm. And when I bought it out, and I was averaging about 33 minutes a game. And when after I bought it out, I went all the way down. And I started like, now I'm pressing because I know I'm about to be a free agent. So I had to go back and say, hey, that ain't who you are. You're a rhythm player. So don't go out forcing. Once you start forcing, you miss shots. Mm-hmm. So I had to like figure this shit out. And how I figured out was don't just go out shooting. And I started playing in the flow. Mm-hmm. And so if I have a good quarter, then they had to play me. So, but at the end of the day, they know what they did. You can go look up the numbers. You go look them up and see what I was playing from our first game, I think was October the 31st, something like that. Mm-hmm. We were playing right before November, like Halloween. We were playing Orlando Magic. And then I think we played Orlando, Miami, and then we came back and played our first game in New York. I can't remember who we played. But from that point to the 28th, I bought that contract out. I was averaging 18.5 points a game. And then after I bought it out, I went all the way down. And I finished the year averaging about 28 minutes a game. And
do you feel like that was the moment that you realized, and if it was something else, please tell me, the NBA is a business? It doesn't, right? It doesn't always matter who's the best, who fits the team, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is a business.
To be honest, I already knew it was a business.
Okay.
When I look up and see Jack Sickman get traded for Alton Lister to come to Seattle, and he left Seattle, I watched Jared Henderson. I watched Aaron Wood. I watched all the guys, Ricky Sobers. I had a lot of good veterans that was telling me from the beginning, man, you the fresh face. Just remember, as you get older, you become less important to them. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't realize it when they first told me, but I told this story to another podcast that I was never Bernie's guy. And I started thinking.
Yeah, right. Really?
I was like, I was never Bernie's guy. And I got to thinking.
Who'd they want at the 4th pick?
You're right, but let me finish it.
Mm-hmm.
I was the 4th pick, but we didn't even have a coach. Who drafted me? Bob Wissett or Lenny Wilkins? Lenny Wilkins drafted me. Who was the coach before Bernie got there? Lenny Wilkins.
Right.
So now I'm sitting, and you'll see what I'm saying in a second. I'm sitting. I just made the All-Star team, played on a bum knee from damn, January again. Olin Polynice fell on my leg in 88.
Mm-hmm.
I made the All-Star team in 88 in Chicago. Olin fell on my leg against the Utah Jazz. If you go look it up, I didn't play the next night against the Clippers. I missed 4 games that year. And the next year I come off the bench. How do you go from All-Star to coming off the bench? I played on a bum knee for these guys, and then you bring me off the bench. I love Derek McKee, but Derek McKee never beat me out for the position. If he kicked my ass, I could be a man in the face and say, you know what, that young boy wore my ass out. He deserved that position. But they basically gave Derek my position. Last 10 games, they started me. The last 10 games, I don't even think I got a vote for 6th man of the year that year. I don't know who won it, but go look up the numbers. I led all 6 men in scoring and rebounding that year.
I think you finished top 5 that. I think you finished top 5 that year in 6th man of the year votes.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you finished 5th that year.
Damn, I didn't even know that. But
this is the year after you made the All-Star team. This wasn't the same year you made the All-Star team. The next year after,
the 88, 89 season.
You finished 5th in
Who won it?
And I think it was that year, if I'm not mistaken, the 6th man of the year in 88, 89, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I finished number 1 in rebounding and number 1 in scoring that year.
Eddie Johnson won it that year.
Eddie Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Your trade counterpart a couple years later, next season.
Yeah, Eddie Johnson.
And I know they had a good year that year because that's that first year with Tom Chambers in that group in Phoenix. So
yeah, he was scoring like 22 and 29.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
He was scoring like 22 a game in 29 minutes.
Right.
I just wanted to get to. I wanted to clear that up because the consensus was they wanted X out of New York. Because the Bulls were becoming what the Bulls were becoming, and the Knicks were getting in the way of that. X was a part of that rough and rugged Knick team that the NBA didn't want to see. I just wanted to get to the bottom of them running you out of New York. What the conspiracy theory was.
Yeah. It became a financial situation for me.
Right.
Yeah, but like I tell people, man, I look back at it. Hey, man, it's what it is now.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I go to New York. Oh, man, we miss you. I said, well, why you booing when I was at the game?
No, you don't. You don't miss me. No, that's talk. That's get that out of here.
I said, why you booing when at the game?
No,
but it comes with the territory. But, I tell people, man, all the time, man, I had 2 great years in Boston. That last year was a little rugged with ML Carr. He's a fucking little prick, little asshole motherfucker.
Everybody says that about him. Everybody says that about him.
That is the consensus on him, X. Like
everybody says it.
You saying that, X. You saying that is not just you. I hear that from everybody. Yeah. ML Carr was that. Where's that coming from? What do you mean? What's going on?
Hey, man. Hey, I'm sitting here, and the people who know me will tell you I'm straight up.
Yep.
This motherfucker told me straight up, if you don't be quiet, I'm gonna ruin your career.
No.
No. Oh, we almost got in a fight.
No.
The late Derek, he was coaching Washington, playing for the Clippers. Derek, what's Derek damn name? Derek.
You're not talking about Dennis Johnson. Oh.
No, Derek played for Louisville. Derek Smith. Derek Smith.
Okay.
Derek Smith pulled me to the side and said, hey, man, we trying to get you out of Boston. And I said, okay. He said, what I need you to do is tone it down, leave ML alone, and we're going to try to trade for you. I said, okay. I didn't even bother, except for that one meeting that we had. We had a meeting one day, and I told Chris Ford, who just passed too, God bless him, and say, Chris, when they fire you, they're going to fire you. I'm not telling you to play me, but when these motherfuckers fire you, they're going to say you didn't do a good job. You didn't do this and you didn't do that, and they want to go somewhere else. Play the fucking people who going to play hard for you. I don't care if you don't play me at all. So he said, what do you mean? What do you mean? So he acted like he want to come. I told Dominique Wilkins, I said, let that motherfucker go. I said, you let him go, I'm going to drop his motherfucking ass up in here. I said, I'm going to drop him. And nobody's holding me now. He acted like he want to come. I said, Dominique, let him go. Him and D Brown was holding the back. I said, let him go. They let him go. Walk up on me now. It ain't going to be pretty. It ain't going to be pretty. But after that, I never said nothing else to him. I thought I was going to get traded. And I wound up being there the whole year. And then, I went over to Greece for a year. But, I mean, you don't.
What a beautiful place.
You don't. Oh, yeah, I love Greece. I had liked it over there. Now, sitting down in a squat position to poop, that wasn't my thing.
Okay, I got to tell you.
Hey, X, he's just saying that because he's Greek. He's just saying it because he's Greek.
That's it.
Greece, of course. It's funny because when you
I didn't like over there, they had the fish, and the damn fish was looking at me. I said, "Hey man, we cut the fish eyes out." They had the fish eyes. I said, "I said, hey sir, you go back there and take the eyes out for me, refry."
That is true. We do fry some of them, but it's funny because when you were saying you didn't have like hot water and stuff, I couldn't imagine growing up like that because when I went to visit my family in Greece in some of the smaller villages, I went 2 weeks where it was boil the water, mix it with the cold water, pour it over your head. I couldn't handle it for 2 weeks. I couldn't imagine 9 years of my life doing that. So, but yes,
just about everybody in our neighborhood was like that, man.
Yeah,
that's how everybody lived until my grandmother got her house. My mother got her house, and it was a shower. I used to love to go there. My mom said, "Why you always?" I ain't gotta sit. I'd be in the tub like this right here because I was so damn tall. And then you got to keep the dirty water off. You try to push it off to then try to bathe real quick. So you try to keep the dirty water off you, man. So I used to be like, I'm going to Gramps' house, man, and I'm going out to Grandma's house to take because she had a shower, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey X, I'm gonna lead the rest of these guys to it. X, I got to bounce. I'm gonna lead the rest of these guys to it. It was great to talk to you, man.
All right, I'm gonna tell Sack we talk.
Hey, tell Sack hey, that's my man. All day long.
But ask him about the slam dunk that me and him had.
I will ask him
because everybody before you go, everybody was like down at King Park, Valley Park, we call it. Like, yeah, Big X. Marcus done grew up. I was like, okay, he coming down. So he gets stuff warm up. He started doing some dunks. So we started putting a dunk show on for everybody, right?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, shit. Lil Sack done grew up for real.
He did.
So I was like, okay. All right. So then I just started doing all types of windmills.
Excellent. You had to get serious. You didn't think you had to get serious. Next thing you know, you had to get serious. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I had to get serious on the dunking. Because I was like, I remember, because me and his cousin, and this is where I used to get in a lot of trouble at. Everybody around campus will tell you, you talk to Tyrone Corbin, they'll tell you, nobody mess with Kenny Saxon. You mess with Kenny Saxon, you had to deal with Big X. And that was my man. That was my guy. His first cousin. That was my guy, man. And man, they know I stayed in trouble.
If you talk to your cousin X before I talk to him, if you talk to him before I talk to him, ask him about Jermaine Womack. We both went to Utah State together. That was my man. Hey X, good to talk to you, brother.
I tried to give y'all some players. I don't know what they're doing up in Utah and Wichita State.
I don't even want to talk about it. Hey X, good to talk to you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm gonna lead y'all to it. Thanks, man.
Right. Later, Jay.
Yep.
I always ask him every time. I'm like, how did you end up in Utah? Like of all the places in the world.
Hey, it's like X said, you got to end up where you got to go and all that. Hey, I got to ask you this. I've been meaning to ask you this. We got to talk about Game 7, 1992, since we've already talked about it as well. It started off the fight. You and Jordan started off with Pippen. Can we say like what happened with you and Pippen? Like, if you give us like what went down with that, and then what Jordan started saying, because we saw the end with the big "fuck you" where he ended that, but we couldn't see your mouth what you were saying as well. So I want to clear that up because we kind of see what Jordan's saying, but we never got to see what you were saying.
Oh, I was saying the same thing he was saying. We were both saying F you, and then when he said F you, if you go back and look, you see Jake O'Donnelson in the background. He just kind of watching. And we going back with F you. And then I said, what you want to do? And then you see the referee and what's his name from Scott? What's Scott's name from North Carolina?
Scott Williams.
Scott Williams come in. If you look in the background, you see both of them. They just kind of looking. And then you can't see me, but I said, what you want to do? I figure if we get in a fight, they got to kick both of us out. Shit, we win game 7.
What were you and Pippen jawing about? Like, what kicked it off?
You know, in the floor of the game, just talking, and you know, that was a real physical game, man. That game
Physical
was physical.
series. Physical
Yes,
series.
That was a real physical series, and people don't know the toll that it took on your body. And I'm just trying to get that edge, you know. And like I tell people a lot of times, you know, a lot of people couldn't pick Scottie Pippen up, small forwards. Dominique not gonna do it. Mark Aguirre not gonna do it. Rodney McCray probably could do it. I knew I could do it. Just a lot of the small forwards, they just wasn't going to pick up like that. And that was my thing, was picking them up full court, not letting him get a full steam ahead, not allowing him to use his athletic ability. Because at that time, I've already had, in 92, I already had 2 knee surgeries and was looking at a third one. You know, even though they were arthroscopic, just minor cleanup jobs, still a surgery. So my thing was to limit his athletic play. And how could I limit his athletic play? Picking him up full, being very physical with him, and trying to talk to him. Just kind of trying to make sure, like in game, I forget which game that was with the Bulls and was it game 7 or game 6 with the Bulls and the Pistons when he didn't play? You know, just trying to
game
just
7,
get him
the
out.
migraine. The game 7 migraine game.
So
he
it was just,
he played, but he might as well. He should have probably.
He was
sat.
ineffective.
Yeah, he
right. So I was just trying to neutralize him as much as I can in that series, and I think I did a pretty good job on. I never really got credit for defense, but I always felt like I was a pretty good defensive player.
Nick, what you got?
Nick
Well,
look like he been smoking weed, man.
No, it's not that. You answered like a lot of my eyes is just like this, but you answered a lot of the questions though that I would have had because for one, just the different the toughness. Like when you was talking about that, because that was definitely gonna be one of my questions, just seeing how you were in the league, obviously playing with teams that this is one of their strengths, like the Knicks. So you know, you already answered the questions that I did have, but now I do have a question as far as playing with different teams. Did you have a team? Because I know there's going to be a team that you fit in better with, but that may not necessarily be what your favorite team to play for was. So if there is a difference, which was your team that you preferred to play for? And is that the team that you fit in best with as well?
Well, I would have preferred to stay in Seattle my whole career. That's what I would. And I would say Seattle was where I had the most success, you know. But I knew that it was going to be. I've said it. You can go look it up in the Seattle Post, the Seattle Times. I said this kid Sean Kemp is going to probably run me out of town one day, and stuff. Sean, I seen this app. I just never seen nothing like that at 6'10". Closest I probably seen something like that is maybe Larry Nance, or a lot of people may not remember Edgar Jones, played for Cleveland. That guy was like 6'9", athletic. Roy Henson was athletic out of Rutgers, you know, and he was way more athletic than them and stuff. So I knew that a situation was going to be, you know, for me one day, but I was hoping that, you know, one high school, one college, and one pro team, you know, get traded to Phoenix. I just think the fit just wasn't there for me with Phoenix. And people.
Oh, wait. Can you please tell the Cotton Fitzsimmons story?
Oh,
that is an awesome story.
Well, I'm looking for houses in Phoenix, Arizona. Just got traded. Been living in the Ritz-Carlton on Camelback for about a month. And the son's telling me, "Hey, you gotta lead the Ritz," and so I finally found a place, and I told the realtor I'm looking for something that's already furnished, and she found me something nice, gated community, and we signed the contract, and I'm sitting relaxing. I get a knock at the door, open it up. I'm like, "Hey man, how you know where I live? I just moved in." You're like, I stay across the street. I just come to let you know You moving in the damn neighborhood, done brought the damn neighborhood down. And we start laughing. He comes in, we relax, and I mean, Cotton was cool, man. He was just a funny guy and stuff. So him and his wife Joanne, man, I mean, they made it very comfortable for me. But he just come, the damn neighborhood going down, and so
literally, you moved in across from your coach.
Literally across.
Where was it?
In Phoenix.
In Phoenix, or like?
No, I was right behind Squaw Peak Mountain.
Okay.
It's right off of Camelback. It's a little side street you got to take, and then you make a left turn. It was a gated community right there. I didn't even know he stayed in the neighborhood. And I mean, I've been there it was like my first night. And I get a knock and was like, the damn neighborhood going down. You done moved in. So, but it was cool though. I mean, I was all about basketball, so it wasn't no big issue and stuff. But man, I just thought that was funny. But his wife would always bring me snacks over to have because she knew I was single. Me and my cousin was there, so we just always.
There's perks to living close to Coach.
Huh?
Perks, I said, to living close to Coach. I love snacks.
Yeah. It was cool, man. We had no problem. Even when I didn't play, man, what I love about Cot Fitzsimmons was, even when I didn't play that much, some coaches won't even talk to you after a loss or a game.
Mm-hmm.
Cotton would come over to the house, hey, X, it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. We'll get it going. Some coaches, they're going to either run the hell out of you in practice, or some ain't even going to talk to you. When you confidence is totally different, man. Some guys are gonna fine you $500 for being late. Cot Fitzsimmons is $5 a minute, and then it's like when you get to practice. Let's say I was never late, but let's say Tim Perry got to practice late, and he was like
such a Tim Perry thing to do.
30 minutes late, right? So Cot Fitzsimmons said, half court shot. And he would give him 5 times. And then it double or nothing. And then he'd be like, do you want to keep doubling it? And then let's say Tim hit a shot. Fine, gone. You don't pay nothing. That's what I love about him, man. It was never personal.
Yeah. That's a player's coach, right?
Yeah, he was a player's coach, man. I really like Cotton. I mean, Bernie Bickerstaff had guys that, to be honest, myself, Kevin Williams, and some more guys, Nate McMillan, if he would have told us to go get a rifle and be a sniper, would have been a sniper for him. That's how much that we wanted to win for him. But then again, you find out there ain't no loyalty in basketball. But you get these coaches that, they don't realize, but a lot of guys will do a lot of things for them. The type of guys you got to keep on your team. And stuff. KC was a player's coach. He'd be like, X, what you want to run? Even though I only was there like 17, 20 games, he's like, what you want to run? I'll tell him what I want to run. My play in Seattle was Hawk Power. That's a Hawk set with a cross pick for me. And either I tie it up or, or we go up, or if we've been struggling just to get a basket and stuff. So, Chris Ford was kind of like that too. He wasn't bad, but sometimes Chris get, oh shit, y'all didn't play last night. He just walk in, y'all didn't play tonight. Practice 10 o'clock. Be ready to go at 10 o'clock, and we're gonna go full. He would have 12-minute quarters, and we just be playing. And everybody tell my ex slow down. I didn't even play that much, so. That was my last year there, so I would be out just playing because I usually get to the gym like 9 o'clock. When I don't play, I get there early, so I get me some workouts in to keep my condition going. So we'll play a whole 48 minutes, man.
I realized why I like you, X, because he asked you what play you want to run, and you called your own number, because that is absolutely what I would have done. I love that.
hey, Ricky Sobers told me a long time ago, you ain't got to remember nobody plays but your own. So when the coach call a play for you, just make sure you remember your play. You ain't got to remember nobody else play. Just make sure you remember your play. So But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what, like he said, when you hear the story about Bird, y'all just give me the ball to get the fuck out the way.
Mhm.
That's the type of coach he was, because, I was the captain that year, and things were coming through me a lot more, that year. I think I was averaging, I don't know, I think I was averaging like 22, 23 before I got traded, something like that. And then when I got traded, and I was averaging about 35 minutes a game. And I think in Phoenix, I played 29, 30 minutes a game, something like that. So, I wasn't playing as much. After I left Seattle, each year my playing decreased. People say my scoring dropped, but if you're not on the floor, you can't score. I didn't see Magic Johnson score a point the last 20-something years, 30 years since he retired. So it's hard to score if you ain't on the court.
That's why I'm at 0 points right now in my NBA career.
There you go. Hey,
That's why I waited.
but if you get in the game, I always had this one thing. You get in the game, give yourself a chance. Get that damn shot up. At least get one shot up.
I
Hey,
never.
X,
I
you know how you're
didn't
the
love.
fourth pick? You know how you're the fourth pick? This guy's currently enrolled in this year's draft.
Will be in this year's draft. Maybe the second round. I'll get something.
Okay.
I'll get something. Maybe I'll get something. I'm going in as an elder statesman.
Okay.
But let me. I want to go piggyback a little bit off Neek's question, because he said, "What team would you have liked to play on or fit in on when you played?" My question is about today's game. So, do you think the way you played would translate in today's game? And is there a team or a player that you like? I'd like to play with. Don't say LeBron James, because we already know that, because he's going to pass you the ball. I mean, other than that, is there a team or system you're like, oh, I'd fit in real well right there with them?
I don't know, because see, when we try to compare what went on in the past into the future, you got to realize that the game is evolved a little bit, so you got to change your ways. So you got a guy like myself or Charles Oakley or Anthony Mason, or you got guys like Lonnie Shelton or Maurice Lucas. You got to change the way you play in today's game. So it would be hard for me to say, but I like the way Golden State play. I like the way they get up and down. I like the way Oklahoma KC played with KD and Russell and Westbrook. Yeah, I like the way they play, because I like up-tempo, more points.
X, if you were on the Warriors, how many fights are you and Draymond Green getting into?
We probably wouldn't get in none, because he know if he had to fight me, we were going to fight. So he probably not. I tell people all the time, people will keep doing things until you punch them in the mouth. And so, he always say, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Nobody don't do that. And I like Draymond Green, because I think he's the ultimate competitor. I think that he gets out and he does everything that he needs to do. He's with the right team and the right fit for him. And I like him as a player. And I think we would get along, because I felt like I've got along with a lot of my teammates. But I'm not going to take any crap off him, though. I can't say what went on between him and Jordan Poole, but I don't think looking at a tape can say that he was the aggressor, because you don't know what Jordan Poole said to him and stuff. So
Jordan
young
Poole,
guys,
what you going to do? And he showed him.
right. And so, and I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I just think most of the people in my neighborhood, you hit them, they getting back up and they getting ready to fight. He got hit and almost got dropped, So, I mean, and then they broke it up. Ain't no way. Like my college coach would be like, Coach Smith would be like, clear the court, everybody back up. We either going to fight or we're going to practice. So which one you want to do? We ain't going to sit here and argue. We got too much crap to do, so we ain't going to do that. That's how my college coach was. So, I don't know, man. I just think that I like Golden State. I like old KC back in the day. What I don't like is just the drive and kick. Because now you're telling me I got to be a spot player. I mean, I hear guys like talking, saying that guys like Patrick Ewing and Akeem Olajuwon wouldn't be good today. Let me tell you something. If the Joker had to guard Akeem Olajuwon one night, Patrick Ewing the next night, I promise you he had black eyes. I promise you.
Oh, wow.
Because, and I understand, you got to realize the Joker like 7 feet, 6'11", something like that. And he's able to maneuver the way he is, the way he's capable of, because the guy's a lot smaller. Think about it, Anthony Davis. He's a 6'11", but he's a small 6'11". What I mean by small is weight-wise. So the Joker put that weight on it. And I like the Joker too because, like I said, the game has changed. And then you got Ralph Sampson. Before the knees go bad, you got Kareem, you got Moses. I mean, I could keep going on. I mean, even guys like James Donaldson. I mean, my first year, we play Dallas Mavericks, my first game. Jack get hit in the eye, black eye. We go play a King. Jack get hit in the other eye. Then we go to Denver and play Danny Shays. He get hit in across the nose.
No eyes left.
Yeah. I mean, the big guys, I mean, you think about it. You watch Akeem and you see that they had battle scars.
Those sharp elbows.
The game is just not like that no more. So it's really hard to say what people would do. You're like you're saying, you know, Bill Russell can't play in this era. And I always tell people this right here. If you play in any era, you can play in the NBA at any time. It's just that, you know.
You have to adapt and change.
There you go. You got to adapt and change. That's it.
Well, I always say if Bill Russell wasn't born instead of 19, when was he? He came out in 56. So he's probably born in 34. So instead of being born in 1934, if he was born in 2004, then he'd grow up watching YouTube and shooting threes and going to AAU camps and not playing Chuck Taylors and not have to travel on trains next to cow shit and things like that and get.
That's logical though. That's logical. People want to take people in a time machine and move them around and
try to say what they can and cannot do.
Yeah.
And I personally think that anytime if you played in the NBA, you can play in any era. You just got to be able to adjust.
You got to adapt.
Simple as that. You got to be able to adjust.
You're great in one era. You're going to be great in another, maybe in a different way.
I just think that people.
You put Steph in the 60s, right? There's no 3-point shot, but he's still going to be great. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
I mean, it's like they talk about the greatest basketball player. How do you prove who's the greatest basketball player? How do you prove who's the greatest? I just
listen, you don't understand.
Because I personally think Dr. J is the greatest player of his era. You know, and I think Michael Jordan is the greatest player of his era. And LeBron James has been the greatest player of this whole damn 20 from 2000 to now. So, I mean, how do you define who's the greatest player? I just don't think that you can say who's the greatest player.
Well, I have 2 points on that. One, we had Bobby Dandridge on not too long ago, and he ranked it like he went Havlicek, Barry, and then Dr. J, and that's how he ranked them. And it's all about different perspectives and all that. And you played against arguably the greatest. And I'm a really big numbers guy. And if you want, I'll send you the link. I literally came up with a math formula because we were talking about how, like, you know, women, they come up with these lists now, how Cheesecake Factory's not good enough for them. And then we doted. I came up with a formula that shows why women are like that. And so I can math formula anyone. So my argument for that is when we talk greatest, to me, there's 5 people that have an argument to it. That's Russell, Chamberlain, Kareem, Jordan, LeBron.
Right.
Now, how you narrow it down to that, like, I'll take any one of those 5 as the answers.
Right.
So I don't know, even as a numbers guy, and even as a deep numbers guy, I don't know how you can narrow it down to that because there's so many different things that one excelled in and then one failed in, and then one excelled in and one failed. So to me, it's a rotating thing. To me, there's tier ones, like tier 1 players, tier 2 players, tier 3, and I think that's the better way to do it.
And I agree with you on that. There are tier 1, but, you know, like me, I grew up watching Dr. J. And that's why, and then, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but where do you think the turnaround jump shot came from?
Wilt.
Oscar had a really nasty one in the 60s.
Wilt had
Bobby Dandridge.
Bobby Dandridge, really?
Go look it up. Go watch the highlight, Bobby Dandridge.
Well, actually, you know what Bobby Dandridge said? He said that he got his inspiration from Bob Pettit because Bob Pettit was hitting those corner baseline shots when nobody else was.
Right. And where do I shoot from?
The corner.
There you
Kobe.
go.
That's where I shoot from. And
Is it because of Bobby Dandridge?
I caught Bobby Dandridge at the tail of his career as growing up, because back then in the 70s, you were lucky to get one game a week. You were lucky. And then if it was in LA, it was tape delayed. So it didn't even come on until like 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA Finals, when they beat the in 1980, when they beat the 76ers, I watched the game up until 2 o'clock that morning, and I already knew, because it's already on the news who already won it, because the games were tape delayed. And people don't even realize the game was tape delayed when I played. Yeah. That's some of the theory with the NBA about David Stern stealing college play, not stealing, but wanting them to go pro, because college basketball TV rights were bigger than the NBA rights. And so now we got too many of these young kids coming in, and college basketball is some of the worst basketball you ever seen in your fucking life.
I don't want to go down this path because I'm sure it's time to go for everybody. But the one thing I said, because this year especially, we were talking about NCAA and a bunch of guys saying, hey, I know more of the women than I do the men, and the product is better. And I said, yeah, you know why? Because the women have to play 3 years. So the best talent for women's basketball is in the NCAA, and they've been playing for 3 years, and they've built rivalries. And then I went down a list, and I said, here's all the players who are first, second, and third year players in the NBA. Imagine if they were all in college.
Right.
The amount, the talent, the competitiveness, the rivalries that we would have had would have been significantly better. It'd be 1,000 times better. So I'm with you. Everybody's one and done now. How are you going to have a good college team?
But a lot of the fault is the NCAA, because, when I be talking to people, how do you correct it, X? I don't know how to correct it, but I do know this right here. How many kids got their degree but didn't make it to the NBA? There's no program set up for them to do internships. But do you know how much crap that college players, you don't want them to work. You don't want them to get money, but you want them to go out and do community service. You want them to do everything that pro players have to do. But then when it's time for some money, you don't want to give them no money because they're on scholarship. What about when they graduate? Are you helping them get jobs?
I say 3 years. You make them go 3 years. You're right with the internship. Financial planning must be a course that they must take. I'm sorry for the balloons. Every time I do this, I get balloons. I don't know why. And every time, but financial planning, and then give them exemptions. If there's guys that need to get out early, no problem. But there's so many things that we can do for players, and we let them hang out to dry. Because you know this, you've seen guys, great college career, boom, they get an injury, won't make the NBA, and now what? Right?
How many guys? I'll give you one. And remember Keith Smart coming out, hit the big shot, go back to school. Played a couple of years. So it's a lot of players that, and then a lot of coaches control. If you didn't like the way they coach or anything, they had that right to put you on the bench and you not even get to your dream. So my thing is, I think if it's ever going to, and it may not never get back to that, but if it's ever going to get back to that, make sure you got some things programs set up for these kids. So that way, you know what though? Most students do internships before they get that job. What do basketball players do? What is your internship? You got to go to schools. You got to go to hospitals. You got weightlifting. You got all these other stuff that basketball takes up so much of your time and doing.
Media day. Media interviews.
We had to go to high schools and do run camps for them and help.
Right.
As our yeah.
So when it's time to make some money, you got to work in the summer to try to. Well, I know when I was in school, that's what we did. We work, we get money, and we get paid a little bit more. That's to cover you throughout the year. But what about when those 4 years up? If the NC got nothing, they say, "Oh, thank you for the 4 years of service, but I can't get a job because you have no work history. The work history you got is working at McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, or at babysitting a big booster's kid or something. And at the end of the day, you got a business degree, but you have not done nothing
And
to
instead,
enhance you to get a job.
instead of babysitting the booster's kid, the booster should be having you at his financial office or wherever the hell he's making his money and interning there and learning business. Absolutely, 100%. And shout out to Teddy Hart. Says shout out from Columbia, South Carolina.
I see that Shamrock. Yeah, Teddy. We used to get in that ass too a whole lot back in the day. Yes. That they one of the rivals. Eau Claire Shamrocks are always good. Jay O'Neal went to the high school. Charlie Hill, James Bacole, Danny Pearson, Glenn McCants, Clutch. McKinley Davis, and we call him Clutch. They and Nate Davis. They've had some great stars to come through that school.
Hey, this is my last question for you because, like I said, I know we've took up a lot of your time and all that. But since your wife coaches, what's her assessment of you as a player?
I don't know. Probably crazy. Probably crazy. I don't know.
She never broke down your game to you?
No.
Oh, you got to ask her an X and O game. Say, give me an assessment on my game.
He's trying to ruin marriages.
No, they want to stay married. You don't do that.
Yeah.
My wife tells me all the time, you can't play defense. I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving for the night. I'll see you later.
So anyways, yeah, we took up your time. We'd love to have you back on again. I barely scratched the surface of all the things I want to know. But yeah, anytime you want to come back on, I'll definitely text you.
Just let me know.
We'll work out different days.
I got y'all stored in my phone now. It'll ring now. It won't go straight to voicemail. If you're not in my phone,
silent.
It goes to voicemail. Straight to
voicemail. Hey, listen.
Hey, I just want to say that's awesome. I wish I could tell my 6-year-old self I'm in fucking Xavier McDaniel's phone now. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got y'all in, so you call me anytime, man. And I'll come on anytime.
Oh, I was going to tell you, maybe you want your own show, X, and we can produce that for you. Just let us know.
Maybe like a once a month thing, once a week. Hey, maybe you could do a duo thing. You and the wife, the coach and the player, and see what you guys say. You know what I mean? Chop it up that way too.
Last long. It depends on how much it's paying. I need some money, man.
No, we don't talk about the air.
Shit, I know y'all get some good money from that. Well, I know you got to get some sponsorships and stuff like that for it. I never thought about doing it, but you never know.
You never know. You never always put it out there. Like I say to everybody.
Now you're more fluent.
Gotta learn.
Oh, speaking of which, X, our tagline is now you're more fluent. Can we get you to say it?
Say what?
Now you're more fluent.
Oh, now I'm more fluent?
Now you're more fluent.
You got to say now you're more. No. You got to tell us. You got to say now you're. Say you're. So, there we go.
Y'all more fluent. That's that country shit.
Hey, you got to throw that on the tagline. That's that country shit.
The country version.
I like my man on YouTube. He's like, you gotta have that motherfucking cornbread.
I want to let everybody know this, okay? Because I got a lot of family in the country. If you don't put honey on your cornbread, you don't know what you're missing. Because that is the best way to eat some cornbread. Throw some honey on it. It'll change your life. It will change your life.
I'll try honey on biscuits.
Yeah, biscuits.
Try it on cornbread. My grandma from Kentucky showed me that, and it changed my life.
And I think that's where my man from. He say, and I gotta have that motherfucking cornbread.
There you go.
Oh man, this is good.
But anyways, guys, we out. Like I said, we took enough of the XMen's time. We want to thank you. We want to appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Appreciate it so much. Right. So thank y'all. Check us out tomorrow. Real quick, we go 0 to 200 on the way out, and then we out. So 1 second, let me pull it up. I don't know how you feel about hip hop. What'd y'all listen to when y'all were playing? A lot of hip hop or what?
Yeah, I listen. That's all I listen to, man. I Run DMC, Houdini.
Okay, well, let us know what you think of our man's B dot right here. We're gonna go 0 to 200.
Till it's finished, please don't make me laugh with that half-ass gimmick.
I'm about to get mine and it's about time. Call us grindhouse, everybody in a house grind. I'm just doing me, I ain't trying to outshine. Trying to kill my vibe is how you get outlined. I don't do it for the views and the likes, boy. I'm just giving you what I wrote last night, boy. I don't care if it isn't what you like, boy. My flow is fucking awesome, ain't it, white boy? Feeling fly.
Yeah.
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
D-Dot.
Was that you?
No, that
was me, X.
No, that's what. Hey,
I know the
well,
song,
actually,
Yeah,
he's a
took
hell
that
of a
Drake
rapper
beat.
too. Yeah, but
Okay.
no, that's one of the guy he's in the group with. So he does, he got a group that he did music with and all that. So that's one of the guys from the group.
I'm kind of old school a little bit. Some DMX. X gonna give it to you.
Oh,
Some
No, the
Tupac,
intro,
some
the
Biggie.
intro.
Yeah, some Tupac, some Biggie, Run DMC, Houdini. Those are the type of people I like.
every time you say Houdini, I think of the Joker brothers. She said, I don't even like Houdini.
Oh, Houdini's my generation.
Houdini's dope.
I love. Hey man, that's what I used to go to college. That's what I used to get up, man. Oh.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We out. Thank y'all so much. Check us out tomorrow.